Today we want to introduce our new topic, that is the cause of the French Revolution. How together? So the cause of the French Revolution, as you can see here. So the cause of the French Revolution, we are now studying the war or the revolution or the manifestation of the grievances in which the French people had because of the eve of the French Revolution. How to get? And we have described that when we are talking about the eve of the French Revolution, these were political, social, and economic characteristics in terms of governmental issues that were being practiced by the French government, manipulating its people in terms of their political, social, and economic privilege. And as a result, as these people were continuing having these grievances, they end up having the eagerness or having the ability to revolt against the pending government. Are you together? So for us to know the French Revolution, it is characterized by what we call successive revolutionary government. So in France we have what we call successive revolutionary government, and we have 4 successive revolutionary governments. And first we have what we call the National Assembly. After the National Assembly, some they call it the National Constituents. Are we together? And this government ruled in France from June. It's June 1789 to September 1791. Then another government we have here, it's the Legislative Assembly, and it ruled in France from September 1791 up to September 1792. All together. Then the third government is known as the National Convention. National Convention. And the National Convention, they are commonly known as the Jacobins. They ruled from September 1792 up to September up to 1794. Altogether. Then we have what we call the fourth government, the Directory. The Directory, they ruled in France from 1795 up to 1799. So these governments, they are known as the revolutionary governments. Altogether. And my governments are atiri kutaura ndo magovernments akatora chimuti after vati isusu Louis hatichade kuti Louis the 16th arambe ari papower. So when Louis the 16th paakabviswa papower asisina chimuti, these were the government akatanga kuexista muFrance. So in this case, you have to know what was the National Assembly, yakafoma say, what were its characteristics and whatsoever. Same way applies to all these. So now we are now venturing in what we call the National Assembly. So before we start to introduce the National Assembly, we have to know that before the National Assembly was introduced, the French people or the peasants, and the king, with their sentiments, they gathered together the first state, the second state, and the third state in what we call the Estate General Meeting. Within the Estate General Meeting, the third state, they displayed their careers or their grievances to the king. But when they sought or when they observed that the king is failing to solve these grievances, they started to declare themselves the National Assembly. And it was also because, and we have to know all these issues, September massacres and whatsoever. Are we together? So what was the National Assembly? For us to know the characters of the National Assembly, we need to study what we call the August 4 session. We have to know what we call the August 4 session. What was the August 4 session? The events that characterized the August 4 in the National Assembly were the direct outcome of the spread of the unrest and the attacks of the nobility on the countryside. They faced the problem of maintaining peace and order. They satisfied what peasants were demanding. Peasants were demanding equality taxation for all, and the ending of number of feudal burdens. This created chaos within the National Assembly as the privileged classes were throwing spanners on the path of reforms, as according to T.A. Morris. So what really happened in this case is, when we are talking about the August 4 session, what happens is the people who were in the countryside, when we are talking about the people in the countryside, tiri kutaura kuti isusu mapeasants vaishandiswa kumasafes, mapeasants vaidzvinyirirwa nevese vaiva kumaruzevha. They started to revolt kuma-nobilities vachiti zvamuri kutiita isusu hatichazvida. Titezeka. Then zvadaro manje zvacreata chaos. Bishops proposed abolition of game laws. Kuroti handaiva nemabishop nemarchbishops. The bishops were saying they must remove privileges ekuti hunting privilege vaidawo kunovhima. And also they proposed that the assembly has the right to redistribute the church property. The archbishop proposed the abolition of salt tax. So archbishops, they were saying they must abolish salt tax. They are telling this to Louis XVI and his courtiers kuti vanofana kubvisa salt tax, vanofana futi kubvisa nyaya ye slave labor and whatsoever. So the August 4 assembly was the destructive of the old order. However, the assembly had not created another grave problem for itself, where it authorized the continued tax payment. Are we together? So chaitika pa August 4 session ndecho kunetsana kuri kuitwa kwe first state, second state third state. So August 4 session musi wekuti vanhu vakatunge vakutomira kuti ano izvo hatichada zvakati hatichada. Number one, vanhu vari kuti hatichade tax payment. So the National Assembly was formulated when the clergy joined the nobles. Saka tiri kunze August 4 session musi wa 4 August 1789 ndo musi watakaona maclergy nemanobilities aidzvinyirirwa vanga vasina maprivilege vachiti taakubatana nemapeasants kuti tigadzire government inonzi the National Assembly. Zvichiitirwei? Nekuti vaiva nemakahias avo kana kuti magrievances salt tax, hunting privilege, echi avaiti no, government haisi kutipawo izvo, saka hatichakwanise kuramba tichiita sei tichiiteerera. So the constitution was protecting liberty towards the writings against despotism. Are we together? Their long way was influenced by the writings of Montesquieu, who were saying there must be separation of powers. People must enjoy liberty, fraternity, and equality. Are we together? So the August 4 session, it was a moment where we see the first class, some of the people who were within the first class, and some of them who were part of the nobility, and some of them who were part of the peasants. They joined together hand in hand, and they formulated what we call the National Assembly. But as the National Assembly was formulated, it was characterized in the events whereby the peasants, they occupied the top positions within this political party. Are we together? This is what we call the August 4 session.